talk about the merger talks that may or may not be happening based on the reactions from the NNPP's Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso and lately the Labour Party's Peter Obi, who categorically say nothing has been agreed to yet. I mean, that yet is not necessarily in the conversation, but you get a feeling that there is still some sort of communication happening on the ground, because that is the PDP's position, that they will soon reach out to all of those that they want to ally with ahead of the 2027 elections. Let's speak to an aide to the Labour Party's Peter Obi. Nana Kazaure is joining us virtually from Lagos. Good evening to you, and thank you so much for joining us on Daily Politics. It's good to see you again. Compliments of the season.
Good to see you. Compliments of the season too. Happy New Year. And good evening.
Leader says he's not had any sort of agreement with anybody, not the PDP, not the NNPP. Is that the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
It's the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Obviously, we know that there are conversations. I've always said it, that without conversations, without people coming to the table, Nigeria won't bode well. So it's important that there are conversations being put on the table. Everybody, in local parlance, we say they're selling their market to know where it is this person's strength is as opposed to the other person. But there's nothing that has been cast in stone yet, as far as we are concerned. And that's what His Excellency Peter Obi actually reiterated this morning when he had his press briefing.
And
nothing cast.
Yeah. How open is his mind about working with others? Because there are some within his ranks who are not receptive of the idea of forming a merger ahead of 2027.
It's early days yet, but it is important to know that we're still talking about it. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. I remember the last time I was on your program, I did say that just because there are dissenting voices doesn't mean that there's a problem. If people have a totally different thought process and think that, no, there shouldn't be any mergers, we all have to come to the drawing board and dissect the situation that we find ourselves, the very dire situation that we find ourselves in Nigeria, and say to ourselves, perhaps this merger is necessary, perhaps this merger is unnecessary. So time will tell. I'm a lover of time because it's a revealer of all things in due time with the due process. Yes.
Your principal has been quite busy. I can't imagine how tight his schedules have been up and around the country since losing the elections last year. And a lot of people say all of his visitations, whether it's to the IDP camps or to political leaders or to weddings and things like that, are sort of like politically motivated to probably explore a lot more of his opportunities ahead of 2027. You said there's still time to make some of those decisions, but do you think there's anything wrong with how politically active your principal has been lately?
I see nothing wrong. Absolutely not, because he is a politician as well as, a businessman, a family man and everything, but he's a politician. Yesterday, we were at an IDP camp as early as 6:37 a.m. From the IDP camp, we headed up to the airport. We were at Duse to condole my state governor on the loss of his mother and his son. From Duse, we were now in Minna. We went to Minna to, we had a visit with General Ibrahim Babangida, and then we had another meeting with His Excellency Aliyu Maazu Babangida, that's our chief servant in Niger State. And they were all very important and informative meetings to show you that even Nigerian leaders, past and present, and those who are willing to come into the fore, these conversations are happening. I didn't say that there was time. I said it's early days yet, but these conversations must happen. And if he has to be at a wedding, I see no reason why that's such a big deal. He does have a social life, as well as the work that he's doing, as well as the charity that he does. So when people say it's politically motivated, what's wrong with that? There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's what he does. It's what we are doing. It's and there was something he said this morning. It's about Nigeria right now. It's about the people. It's about those conversations. It's about connecting. So what I admire most about what it is that we're doing, and we've hit the ground running 1st January, is that from the grassroots, he's engaging. He's engaging with people. We went to a healthcare center within the FCT and the IDP in the FCT, and all the people said, most of the people who come to them do not come back after they've won the elections. They make promises, but they were really happy to see that he made a promise during campaigns and he didn't win, and he's back again. And then from there, we now went and had with the people, with the leaders that I have already mentioned. We had closed door meetings with them. There was advice given. We had real conversations. These are people that, whether we like it or not, in the annals of history, they are in the annals of history of Nigeria.
Right.
And so it's important to learn from them. It's important to sit with them and understand their thinking, understand where their minds are right now, because irrespective, the experience that they come with, you can't buy it with money.
Right.
So whether or not it's politically motivated should not even matter. What should matter is the end result, is for how better to serve the Nigerian people. It's almost as if Nigerians aren't used to being served by leaders or by leadership. We're used to a certain type of autocracy, which at the end of the day, you find that it hasn't served the Nigerian people. Feudalism, autocracy. So one thing that His Excellency Peter Obi embodies is that servant leadership, where he goes to the people, where we sat down. Something he kept repeating over and over again while we were in the skies, flying to different states.
Right.
And he kept talking about how is it possible that within the FCT, there's the IDP community. First and foremost, they shouldn't even be IDPs in Nigeria. We're not in a war.
Right.
And we had 1,500 plus children that are out of school.
Right. Okay. Just before we go, because apologies for the interjection, but I have to ask this question in 20 seconds, right? The conversation we had just before we started this conversation was weighing the quality of the opposition, and so the panelists tonight don't think that your principal, alongside others, have provided high quality opposition in terms of their activities and so on and so forth. What is your response to that? Very briefly.
The same thing I said before. Nigerians are used to a particular type of opposition that's filled with vitriol, insults, and lying, and leaders coming at each other from the jugular. And Peter Obi is bringing a totally different. He's changing the horizon of what opposition should look like. And he did this morning also emphasize that opposition in Nigeria isn't easy. It's not easy because, like I said, just because you have a dissenting voice or because you're from another political thought,
right,
people want to ostracize you. He mentioned it that, the way I've experienced that personally, whether online or even physically. Okay. People want to treat you as though you're, what's the word now, a pariah, as if there's something wrong that you're on this side of the divide. So it's not easy, but we're pressing on, we're keeping on.
Okay. All right.
That's just it. We're not deterred.
Yeah.
They're entitled to their own opinion. I listened to a bit of it, and there were some criticisms that we have already taken on board, and we intend to do things differently and bring more grit to the table, highlight more
I'm afraid
deficiencies as we see them. Because even when you listen to the press brief that Peter Obi gave this morning, he actually talked about preferring one or two solutions.
Yeah.
Yes, they might have been steeped in sarcasm, but then it's the truth. It will be nice for Nigerians. It will be proper.
Apologies for that, Nana Kazaure. We are completely out of time, and we're going to have to end the conversation there. That is our brief conversation with Nana Kazaure, an aide to Mr. Peter Obi, speaking on the positions of the Labour Party's national leader and his thoughts on the way forward, especially against the backdrop of the current state of affairs in the country. And that is our show for you tonight. Thank you most kindly for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow live at 8 p.m. So feel free to make a date. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. Good night.